All right, and we back on the forecast. Now, from day one, America's goal has always been to criminalize us. They've always used the argument that we are the savages to justify what they were doing so they could sleep at night. That's why they make everything we do a crime, even though they turn around and do the same thing and then profit off of it. In reality, it's just an excuse to say you got what you deserved, a way to vindicate themselves in their own mind. But as long as we let outsiders keep coming in, doing whatever they want without consequence, it's going to keep happening. But until we fully adapt the mindset of freedom and liberty or nothing, other groups are going to continue to come in and disrespect and harm us, and then turn around and justify it by saying we deserve it. In 1800, there was a brother named Gabriel Prosser who led what is known as Gabriel's Rebellion. Now, the year before, in 1799, Gabriel and two other slaves ended up stealing a pig from a white person who lived around the plantation. And out of hunger and desperation, a lot of black people would steal pigs so they could eat and feed their families, which of course they used as propaganda to say that we are all thieves, and we still see the effects of it today. But when the white guy came out to confront Gabriel about the pig, they ended up getting into a fight, and Gabriel Prosser ended up biting the white dude's ear off. Now, on top of charging him with stealing the pig, they charged him with harming a white man, which was a felony punishable by death. The only reason they didn't put him to death then was because of a loophole in the law that said if he could quote one Bible verse, then they won't execute him. And even though they didn't execute him, they still whipped him and branded him and put him in jail. Then after he got out, he decided to organize all the slaves in Richmond to kill all the slave owners and racist white people in the city. And he had around 1,000 people organized. But on the night it was supposed to take place, it started raining. And a lot of people didn't even show up. And it was raining so hard, the people who showed up anyway still couldn't make it to the city. So they decided to wait until the next night. But before the next night came, a couple of slaves on two different plantations ended up telling their slave masters about the plan. And they ended up telling the Governor James Madison, and he sent out a militia to arrest anybody who even looked like they were going to be involved. They did eventually catch Gabriel Prosser, but during the trial, he refused to speak or even testify at all. He refused to give them an explanation. Another one of the rebels said, "I have nothing more to say in my defense than George Washington would have had to say to the British if they caught him." And to be honest, I couldn't say George Washington would have went out with the same kind of honor as they did, because Gabriel Prosser and the soldiers with him went out like the warriors they were. They didn't beg for forgiveness. Gabriel Prosser had the mindset of freedom so much, he created a flag that said death or liberty, and his only request was to be executed with the people who fought with him. Now, they did wait to execute him the same day. Just to show him disrespect one last time, they still took him to be hung by himself. But this brother understood the situation in 1800, and he understood the mindset you have to have. His only problem was somebody told on him right before he took action. When people harm you, there has to be consequences, or it's going to keep happening. And right now, people still have immunity for harming us. You have cases like what happened to the brother Larry Jackson Jr. in Austin, Texas. This brother, who was unarmed, was shot in the back of the head by Detective Charles Khleinart. Now let's see what justifies this cop shooting his brother in the back of the head while he was running away.
Grand jury testimony in Texas is usually kept a secret.
But for the first time, we're hearing how a former Austin police officer explained his actions before he shot and killed a man running from the scene of a bank robbery back in 2013. In May, Charles Khleinart pleaded not guilty after a grand jury indicted him. Also this spring, his attorneys successfully moved the case to federal court. They argue Khleinart was acting as part of an FBI task force the day he shot Larry Jackson Jr. KXAN investigator Robert Maxwell has been poring over the now public testimony.
And we can tell you at several points in his testimony, the transcript shows Charles Khleinart crying as he recounts the seconds leading up to Larry Jackson Jr.'s death 2 summers ago.
The day of the robbery, surveillance video showed then-Officer Charles Khleinart emerge from the bank to speak to Larry Jackson Jr. before a chase and struggle that would end Jackson's life. The grand jury testimony now shows us what Khleinart allegedly said to Jackson that day. Bank staff earlier told Khleinart Jackson was pretending to be another customer to access his account. He said, "The customer is my brother and he's been in a car wreck and I need some money." When Khleinart challenged Jackson to call the brother, he says Jackson took off running. What no one saw was when Khleinart caught up with Jackson under a bridge by Shoal Creek. The veteran detective told the grand jury he had one hand on Jackson's shirt and had hit him at least once with the other hand that held his gun. The weapon fired once as Khleinart fell during a struggle. A bullet struck Jackson in the neck, killing him. He said, "I can see his eyes." Khleinart was crying as he recounted this, and I already know what's happened. I already know, but I'm thinking, please don't let that have happened. Typically, grand jury hearings are kept secret. It's to avoid tainting a future jury who would hear an eventual criminal trial. But Texas law allows exceptions, in this case to help the federal judge hearing Kleinart's case to rule on a motion to dismiss it. An attorney not connected with the case says it's in the state code.
It's rare, but it can happen on a good cause, and it sounds like in this situation, under the Code of Criminal Procedure, the prosecution can release that, again, upon a judge's order or for good cause to assist in the investigation or the prosecution of an individual.
Kleinart's gun discharged once, striking Jackson in the back of the head, killing the unarmed man. The detective claims his gun accidentally went off. It's been a back-and-forth debate over the charges against Khleinart and where the case against him should be tried. In May 2014, a Travis County grand jury indicted the former detective on manslaughter charges. A federal judge later dismissed that indictment, saying Khleinart was immune to state prosecution because he was part of that federal task force. The state is appealing that action with the hope Khleinart will still be subject to federal prosecution.
That's also the hope for Jackson's parents. Today's oral hearing will decide the following question. Should the district judge's order that Khleinart has immunity be reversed or upheld? I spoke with the family's attorney this afternoon, who says the family is still fighting for justice. What would the family want for this ruling to happen?
Well, of course, we want the ruling reversed. We believe that the judge's ruling was flawed at a number of levels, and we believe that Charles Khleinart should be prosecuted just like any other regular citizen would have been in this situation. It is very unfortunate, and it's candidly a disgrace that he was let off for what we believe was a murder of Larry Jackson due to some goofy legal technicality.
Now, this brother, Larry Jackson, went to the bank, but it just so happened to be closed because somebody tried to rob it earlier that day. And the cop, Detective Charles Khleinart, came out to talk to him after he saw him standing outside. Now, I don't know why he would go to a bank that's full of cops to try to commit a crime, but the cop said he gave the name of somebody else trying to get access to their account, trying to say he was about to commit fraud. And the cop said when he asked him to call the person, he took off running. So then this cop, Charles Khleinart, trying to be John McClane or somebody, took somebody's car with them still in it. He jumped in the passenger side and just told him to drive. He didn't even identify himself. Just some random guy jumps in your car and tell you to drive, just to go chase this brother down. And on top of that, I'm pretty sure cops are not supposed to put people in danger like that. So then he spotted him, and when he caught up, he said he tried to grab him with one hand, and then with the gun in his other hand started hitting him. Then the cop said as he tried to hit him again, this brother turned around and knocked him down. And the cop said during the scuffle, the gun accidentally went off. He said his hand wasn't even on the trigger, it was on the slide. And he really trying to say this brother pulled the trigger himself without just coming out and saying that. But the problem is, if he turned around and the gun went off during the scuffle, how did he end up shot in the back of the head? And so much evidence that says he was running away. Now, 3 months after the shooting, this cop, Charles Khleinart, ended up retiring from the force. Most likely so he can still get all of his benefits. And even though the cops and the police unions were caping for him, a grand jury still indicted him with manslaughter.
A former APD detective charged with manslaughter took the stand in a hearing that could grant him immunity from prosecution. Charles Khleinart is charged with shooting and killing Larry Jackson Jr. in July of 2013.
But his role in a federal task force has already caused the case to be moved to a federal court and may lead it to getting thrown out altogether. Chris Sadeghi is live at the courthouse downtown, where Khleinart told and even acted out his version of what happened today. Chris?
Well, Shannon, at one point in the courtroom, Khleinart had a replica gun in his hand and was acting with his attorney, reenacting the exact movements that led to the gun going off and killing Larry Jackson. They also had a wooden slope that they'd created in the courtroom to simulate the incline that Khleinart says the two men were on. He hopes all of this presentation will help lead to the charge against him being dropped.
After chasing down Larry Jackson, Charles Khleinart said he was going to arrest him. He told the court Wednesday he thought Jackson was a suspect for bank fraud, and because he had not searched him for weapons, procedure calls for an officer to pull their gun for that type of arrest. But Jackson tried to run, according to Khleinart, with his gun in hand. He said he swung twice at Jackson's lower back to force him to the ground, but Jackson did not respond. Kleinart's voice cracked at times on the stand when talking about the gunshot he said was never meant to be fired.
As he went for a third strike to the back, he said Jackson spun around and knocked him down. As he fell, he heard his gun discharge and wondered why, since his finger was on the slide. He said both of them fell face down beside each other, and when he looked over at Jackson's face, blood was coming out of his mouth and his eyes were fixed. And that's when Khleinart said he knew exactly what happened. On the stand, Khleinart said he was crushed and devastated by Jackson's death, but also said he was doing what he believed were the actions necessary to stop crime that day. This hearing is expected to go on Thursday and Friday, and then Judge Lee Yackel will have a decision to make. We're hearing tomorrow that Texas Rangers could take the stand to give their investigation and what it found about this shooting.
Now, a judge ended up sending this case to federal court because he was acting as a federal officer at the time. And since he was acting as a federal officer, he deserves special immunity for killing this unarmed black man by shooting him in the back of the head. And of course, the judge Lee Yackel ended up dismissing the case against him, saying this cop taking a person's car with them in it to go chase down the suspect for a crime they might be about to commit and end up shooting him in the back of the head was reasonable and necessary. The judge said he was acting within his federal duty, so he dismissed the case.
Travis County is taking former APD Detective Charles Khleinart's case to the Supreme Court after he was charged with manslaughter. That case was dismissed in 2015. Jacqueline Sarkeesian is live at the federal courthouse with the latest. Jacqueline.
Well, Dave, the Travis County Commissioner's Court just approved a contract with an Austin attorney to help bring criminal charges against Khleinart. Now, the former APD detective was indicted for killing Larry Jackson Jr. in 2013. The officer was investigating a bank robbery when authorities say he shot Jackson in the back. The case was dismissed 2 years ago when the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that Khleinart was immune because he was acting as a federal officer. Ever since then, District Attorney Margaret Moore vowed to take the case to the Supreme Court if necessary. And yesterday, the Travis County Commissioner's Court approved a contract to hire former Texas Supreme Court Chief Justice Wallace Jefferson and his law firm. They will help the DA's office present this case before the justices.
We're happy to go to the Supreme Court. We will go there and defend the actions of the officer. It's not going to change the law. It's not going to change what happened in New Orleans at the Fifth Circuit. It's not going to change what happened here.
Moore released a statement on the case that says, quote, the district attorney's office remains firmly committed to seeking the fair administration of justice, as well as clarity regarding the immunity granted by the court in this matter. She goes on to say her team of highly skilled attorneys are working on a petition that will be filed with the high court. Moore's statement also says that Jefferson's firm is internationally known. It goes on to say that the attorney himself has won 2 cases before the Supreme Court.
Now, even though this cop, Charles Khleinart, is one of the few cops ever indicted, the judge essentially overruled a grand jury and a DA who said it's alarming that an Austin cop can just be assigned a federal task and get immunity for killing an unarmed black person. This cop was even found guilty and liable during a civil trial. Because they found the cop was in the wrong, they ended up paying his parents $600,000 and his children over $1.2 million, which was the biggest payout in state history. But when it comes to the criminal trial and actually punishing them, nothing. Despite whatever a grand jury has to say, a judge can just give a cop immunity. And historically, they have gotten immunity for killing us while it's punishable by death to even harm them. At the end of the day, we can see we are the only ones that are going to look out for us and protect us. And we are all we got. We don't have any choice but to get on code and do what we have to do. And the illusion of inclusion is starting to fade away. And more of us are starting to see what it is. And it is causing fear in a lot of people. Because when we realize what everybody else already knows, then things will change.
Either give me your ID or give me your information. So I'm getting off work, right? You see I work at Subway. And I'm coming to CVS. I'm walking across the street. And this guy gonna pull me over and I'm walking. Not even fucking driving. What the fuck going on, man?
It's 24 right now.
Pleasant Grove, Alabama, man. 35127. What's the word, dude? You stopped and told me.
Hey, I'm gonna give you just a
little bit. No, you stopped and told me.
I'm gonna give you just a little bit before you go to jail.
don't walk like that. And I said, okay.
No, I said get on across the road. You about to come to a standstill.
And when you told me that, I was already at the gas station.
When I get right here, you walk back out in the edge of the road.
That's a fucking sidewalk. Why am I supposed to walk on the grass? If it ain't no fucking sidewalk in fucking Alabama, what am I supposed to do about that?
No, it don't matter.
Why you stop me? Tell me why you stop me. Tell me why you stop me.
I can come out and talk to you anytime I want to.
You can do whatever the fuck you want to do.
This ain't a traffic stop.
I know, because I ain't fucking driving. I'm walking. I just got off work. I work at Subway. I just got to make a fucking 18,000 Subway sandwiches.
It does not matter.
You're not telling me why you fucking stopping me there.
Go to jail. I don't care. At this point, I'll tell you why you're going to jail.
Wow.
Right now, I need you to put your hands against this car. I'm going to check you for any weapons.
Wow.
Put your hands against the car right now.
By the Newman Church, the parking lot?
No.
Were you arguing with someone tonight?
Nope.
So where are you coming from, you said?
Work.
And you don't know where work is?
I know where work is, but I just started.
You chop wood, but where do you work?
I work on Oak Street.
On 4th Street?
Oak.
Oak Street.
And 10th.
Okay, so you didn't see any fights, any arguing?
Nope. I just got off and I walked home.
You've been by yourself all this time?
Yes. Thank you. Am I being detained?
Yes, you are.
For what? For what probable cause?
Not arrested or anything. We're just trying to figure some stuff out right now.
Okay.
We just had a description that matched your description.
It matched my description.
Yeah.
And what was that? A black guy?
Male black wearing dark clothes.
Wearing dark clothes?
Do you have an ID on you real quick?
No.
No, I have no idea.
What's your name?
Calvin.
Calvin what?
Calvin. I just go by Calvin.
What's your last name?
Calvin.
Do you have an ID, any type of identification on you?
Am I being...
You are being detained, so you...
Am I being accused of a crime?
How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm good, I'm good. Were you down at the church here at some sort of argument?
The third time, no.
Well, I wasn't here for the first or the second time, so it's first time for you.
Well, I'm letting you know that's the third time I was asked that.
Okay. All right, do you have your ID on you?
Nope.
No ID?
Calvin, just Calvin.
Am I being...
Yes, you are detained.
Yes,
You're not free to
detained.
leave.
That's
But
like
am
the
I
fifth
being...
time I heard
Is
that.
it... Am I being...
We were just told that someone was walking down this direction, and you're the only person who's walking down this direction, who just witnessed an argument of some type. So we're just investigating what's going on.
Okay. I'll let you guys know that I just came from work.
Yes, but you didn't know it took you about 20 minutes to name where you were.
Think where you were working at.
Well, I just said I just came from work,
We
so...
just want to know if you were involved in an argument in that church parking lot because somebody called in that there were two people. Don't shine my eyes.
Okay, I need to see your badge and your
Same
name.
6, just turn the light off. So it's fine.
Okay, I'm gonna just stand back some then. Because I just said I just came from work.
Yeah. Were you in the church parking lot in an argument with somebody?
No.
No? Not at all.
Not at all.
All right. Well, I'm going to see if the witness that called that in is still around.
Okay.
If they are, I'll have them come up here. All
Okay,
right.
I still have my glasses, my time card.
Can't see what it says. Identification badge.
Time card?
From work, you mean?
Yes.
And you weren't in a silver Prius with anybody else down in that church parking lot?
If I was in the Silver Prius, why would I be walking out?
Maybe you got in an argument with them and got out of the car. I don't know. I wasn't there. That's.
I wasn't there either, so
when we show up, we gotta ask questions.
I wasn't there either, so
I don't know the answers to these
I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
If I knew the answers, I wouldn't have to ask all the questions. If I knew you weren't involved, I wouldn't have to ask you if you were involved, right?
Well, I just said I wasn't involved.
Huh?
I just said I wasn't involved. I just came from work.
I know, but I don't know that, so I gotta ask you this stuff.
I mean, I just answered the questions that you asked me.
Believe it or not, people lie to us sometimes.
Well,
It might shock you.
You guys lie too. So
we do. Oh yeah. So let me figure out what's going on.
Okay.
If we don't need you anymore, we'll get you on your way.
I'm kind of late for dinner, so.
We're going to have the initial witness come and tell us if he was the one for us.
Did they say he had a blue hat with?
Well, They just said he was
glasses on,
walking
yes.
northbound on the sidewalk on Normal Road.
With dark clothes.
And that's you. You're the only one
And
walking
that's
northbound on
the
Normal
only
Road.
description they can give me. It was a black male with dark clothes, no hat, no book bag on. I mean, any type of specifics?
I don't know the specifics.
Not specifically saying that he had a book bag on or
No, they didn't like the name, the logo
gray.
of your hat. They didn't know the kind of shoes you had, nothing.
Well, then who is they actually looking for then?
Now, imagine you're watching our late night news when you hear your back door rattling and then you see a red laser pointed on your chest.
One Portsmouth man says it happened to him, and in a neighborhood where weapons are everywhere, he didn't hesitate to grab his own gun. 10 Your Side's Andy Fox shows us it was a decision with lingering repercussions. What are we talking about here, Andy?
Tom and Nicole, decision to shoot. Brandon Watson is absolutely sure the way he reacted to red laser sights on his chest justified what he did. The question is, would the legal system agree? And who was in his backyard anyway?
January 3rd, 2013, a single shot through a window. Brandon Watson claims he was protecting his family when his wife heard noises in the backyard.
She said, "Oh my gosh, somebody's in our backyard."
Noises getting closer.
She heard.
So they were coming in the back door?
Yeah. We ran upstairs very quickly. She saw guys in all black from right here.
Watson says he couldn't immediately find his cell phone to call 911.
So I run downstairs with my firearm and I post right here. I announce myself. I said, "Who is that? Who is that? I have a gun." And as soon as I said that, a couple red laser beams was on my chest.
A gun laser sight aiming where a shot would hit.
So I looked at the red laser beams on my chest and I fired a warning shot.
He ran to get help from a state police neighbor across the street.
I said, "Whoa." I was just like that. I said, "Whoa." They said, "Who shot this shot?" I said, "I did. I have a gun in my hand." They said, "Put the gun down."
This is Watson's handgun. He immediately dropped and then got stunning news.
"We just got news that you shot at an officer." I said, "Officer?" I said, "Nobody came to my door. What you mean, officer?" Nobody, I didn't know there was no officers.
The dark figures in the backyard were Portsmouth police officers who did not announce themselves.
As far as the officer's response, I support their response 100%.
Portsmouth Police Chief Ed Hargis claims his men never heard Watson.
Anytime a police officer hears that there's a firearm involved, they start giving verbal commands. They start yelling police.
It came out in court police were in the wrong backyard. They were supposed to be in Patricia Brooks' yard, who lives next door to Watson. She had called 911 because she heard unrelated noises downstairs. Portsmouth Commonwealth's attorney Earl Mobley explains how police ended up in the wrong backyard.
When they go around to the back, is it 2 houses down? Is it 3? Is it 4? But when they go around to the back, they see one of the gates open, which raises their suspicion about that must be the house.
Mobley admits Watson did not know police were in his backyard, but prosecutes him anyway for misdemeanor reckless handling of a firearm.
You can't just fire indiscriminately through the window.
A judge agrees, and Brandon's found guilty and appeals. A second judge declares a mistrial. Then Brandon chooses to have a jury trial.
This can't be doing your job when you come in my backyard, try to open my door, open my window, then flash red laser beams on my chest because you thought I was the burglar. And I thought you was the burglar.
The 7-person jury buys that and finds Brandon Watson not guilty after only 47 minutes deliberating. Wavy TV employee and juror Danny Barnes.
It wasn't reckless.
The jurors and I disagree with that point.
The jury thought Watson showed restraint, only firing one shot.
There was agreement that if there had been more than one bullet hole, if he had sprayed the wall with bullets or, fired bang, 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 that would have been reckless.
And the jury was concerned police went to the wrong home, that there was confusion.
That wasn't explained very well. And that was a sticking point for most of us.
The jurors honed in on the red beams on Watson's chest.
The police kept saying that they had their weapons pointed at the ground at all times. At the same time, they said they were using their tack lights on the gun to illuminate whatever they were looking at, which you can't be doing both at the same time.
Could a light have gone into the window? Yes. But I don't think it was there for any long period of time. It would have been a moving type of situation.
So when Mr. Watson says a red laser ended up on his chest, that's possible?
It's possible, sure.
And that's what led to the shooting?
That's when he discharged his firearm.
The Watson case has helped change Portsmouth police policy with the use of red gun laser sights.
This case and the firearms instructors' concerns, as well as executive staff, that we modified it and we've taken lasers off the weapons.
Most stunning, the jury found police were unfair in how they pursued Watson.
He was put in a no-win situation.
For Brandon Watson, his life turned upside down. Was unemployed for 10 months.
No jobs would hire me after they ran the criminal background because it's reckless handling with firearm.
That's what he said, no jobs. Everything ended at that point. Brandon Watson is pursuing legal remedies to what happened to him that night. One thing's for sure, chances are before tonight you probably did not know Brandon Watson, but you sure would have known him had his bullet been a few inches to the right or left, hitting that police officer.
Nearly 5 years after Hurricane Katrina, federal prosecutors have charged a white man with federal hate crimes for his role in the racially motivated shooting of 3 black men in the aftermath of the storm. The 5-count indictment unsealed last week accuses Roland Bourgeois of plotting to defend his Algiers Point neighborhood in New Orleans from, quote, outsiders, including African Americans, and shooting and seriously wounding Donald Harrington, Marcel Alexander, and Chris Collins, who are walking toward a temporary evacuation center. A joint reporting project by the Times-Picayune, ProPublica, and PBS Frontline interviewed people this year who implicated Bourgeois in the shooting. Terry Benjamin was an eyewitness to the shooting and told reporter A.C. Thompson what she saw and heard on September 1st of 2005.
I want you to tell me about the incident that occurred in your neighborhood a couple days after the storm hit.
I heard the gunshot. So we started running towards my house because I had family in the house and we didn't know what, that gunshot was all about, if everybody was okay. And we ran up and my neighbor was jumping up and down, hooting and hollering like he was big game hunting and he got the big one. And all of his friends were rallying him on and they were cheering. And he screamed, "I got one." And I went to him and I said, "What? Got one what?" And he said, "A looter." One of his friends comes running up the street and said, "You got one, but he ain't dead yet." And he proceeded to run with no shoes on around the corner wherever this man was laying down. After I asked him, I said, "Roland, you don't have to kill him. He's already down, just leave him alone. He's going to die anyway, just leave him alone." And he said, "I'm going to kill that nigger." And he went around that corner and we heard the shot. I didn't see him shoot him, but I felt it. When he came back from shooting that man the second time, he, at that point, got this adrenaline rush in him and he turned into somebody that I knew I couldn't negotiate with very much further. He turned into an animal. It was like he got the taste of blood and he was out for more. And I went to him and asked him to spare my cousin and my uncle's life, who were African American, that would be walking up that street. And at that point I knew it wasn't safe for anything not white to walk up that street. And my neighbor looked at me and said, "Darling, anything coming up that street darker than a brown paper bag is getting shot."
Target is under fire after a local woman says she was racially profiled and forced to strip to prove she didn't steal a bathing suit.
7 Action News reporter Bethany Moore spoke with her and shows you what she's demanding tonight.
That Southfield woman says she's speaking out now because she wants Target to be held responsible and wants to make sure that this never happens to another woman again.
When I left, I was scared to leave, scared to drive my own car home.
Ashanae Davis describes the moments she tried to understand what she says happened to her on May 22nd.
At first I was in shock, of course, and it was just very humiliating and I felt degraded. It was sad. I was very upset.
She said she was at a Southfield Target when she tried to leave and a plainclothes loss prevention officer stopped her saying she stole a bikini. Another officer joined and she was cuffed and taken to a room in the back of the store. It was in that room that Ashanae says the unthinkable happened.
To obtain her freedom, she then has to pull up her shirt in front of 2 male employees at Target to prove that she has not actually stolen a bikini top, and then she has to pull down her pants to prove that she has not stolen a bikini bottom. And only then would they let her leave Target.
She's now looking into legal claims against Target, including race and gender discrimination.
Someone needs to be held accountable for what happened, and it shouldn't happen to anyone else.
Ashnay says until this is resolved, she won't go back.
Definitely not.
She says if Target doesn't make the changes that she requests, then she will go through that lawsuit. Bethany Moore, 7 Action News.
Well, we just got this statement from Target, and it says, quote, "We want everyone who shops at Target to feel welcomed and respected and take any allegations of mistreatment seriously. We're sorry for the actions of our former team member who created an experience we don't want any guest to have at Target. We terminated the team member who was directly involved and are addressing the situation with our security team and the store."
Target under fire again this week with more claims of racial profiling at a local store.
Last week, a woman announced she was seeking legal action after allegedly being forced to strip to prove she did not steal a bathing suit.
Today, another woman came forward accusing the same Target of manhandling her until she proved she didn't steal.
7 Action News reporter Bethany Moore spoke with these women and their lawyers today. So, Bethany, what are they saying now?
Well, they say they don't want an apology from Target. They want policy change. Now, we do want to let you both know that we looked into both of these women and neither of them so far have filed a police report, and this lawsuit has not yet been filed in court. Members of the community and supporters of the victims walked in wearing shirts with Target written on them.
Various members of the community who wanted to just show that we will not submit to being targets by Target.
The latest alleged target, Erica Anderson, who says back in November she was trying to leave the Southfield Target when she was stopped by a loss prevention officer and accused of stealing. She said he manhandled her, leaving bruises, and was only released after showing a supervisor her receipt.
I was very agitated, hurt, confused. I had a lot of emotions going through my head. I just couldn't understand what was going on.
Last week, Ashnay Davis spoke out publicly, saying she had been racially profiled in May when she claims a loss prevention officer told her to take off her clothes to prove she didn't steal a bikini.
I couldn't believe that this had happened to someone else at the same exact Target.
Lawyers Jasmine Rand and Maurice Davis say since last week, they have had more than 6 people reach out to them complaining about the Southfield Target, and more than 30 people with complaints nationwide about Target discrimination.
I feel much better that I'm not standing alone on this. I'm very thankful for Erica coming up and speaking up, and for whoever else has a story to tell.
In regards to Ashnay's situation, Target released a statement saying they were sorry and have fired that team member. The lawyers say that's not enough.
Sorry is a sorry word. We want to see some action. We want to see change in your policies.
Now we reach out to Target regarding Erica Anderson's specific situation. They have not yet responded to us. We also want to let you know, so the lawyers say that they have not yet filed that lawsuit in court just yet. They're right now in the process of just gathering information for future legal action.
A Tulare County man says an Atascadero police officer unlawfully questioned him because he's black. KSBY News reporter Angel Russell joins us now live from the police department where that interaction took place last year. Angel, what exactly happened?
Yeah, Dan, the man's name is Kyle Bell from Visalia, and according to this lawsuit, he had just spent the day in Morro Bay with his family, visiting here in San Luis Obispo County, and on his way back, he decided to take a break right in front of the police station in this parking space, and that is when an officer approached him and started questioning him. Well, according to this lawsuit, that was a racially motivated questioning, but the police department is denying any wrongdoing. We do have the video camera footage for you to view and for you to be the judge. The Atascadero Police Department is being sued by a Visalia man who says he was racially profiled by an officer in October 2016.
The video kind of speaks for itself. Please view the video and take from it what you will.
The 3-minute and 17-second body cam video provided by police shows Officer Rochelle Hansen standing in the department parking lot speaking to a man below about his wife in the front seat.
Well, you just standing outside to smoke, or? Okay. Can you tell her to roll her window down so I can make sure she's good? What's the issue? I just want to make sure that everything's okay. It's just a little weird, so...
Kyle Bell explains he just left Morro Bay after a day on the beach with his wife and kids.
Can you have her open the door really quick? I just explained why.
After some more back and forth, the officer walks to her police car.
You want to be a jerk about it.
then drives around and parks behind Belle's family SUV and walks up when Belle's wife rolls down the window.
I just want to make sure everything was okay because I saw you sitting in the car with the windows up. I didn't see the child. And I saw him standing here at your door with the window up and the door closed. I did not see him smoking. So I want to make sure everything's cool. So, okay, excellent. That's all, dude. It was easy. Thank you.
Belle's attorney, Matthew Odom, says the officer questioned Belle because of the color of his skin.
He was perceived as a threat, as an outsider, as someone who should be challenged.
The lawsuit characterized Atascadero as a, quote, sundown town with historical official hostility to interracial relationships.
And if we look honestly into ourselves, I think everyone can kind of discern what that reason was. And the reason was it's because he was a black man, where there aren't very many black people, if any.
According to the 2016 census, African Americans make up 2% of Atascadero's population. The police department is fighting the claims in the lawsuit.
We do have policies in place to ensure that our officers, the men and women that are out there doing their job, are doing them right and doing them with respect to all persons.
Belle's attorney tells me he believes this police department has a long history of making racially motivated stops. Chief Haley tells me that he can't go into details on the accusations or the video due to this pending litigation.
Child is crying here because of you. It's going on social media. Go ahead. Go ahead. You want to smile for the camera? Let's smile. Pull out your phone. You want to record me? I'm recording you. Pull out your phone. Pull out your phone. Pull out your phone. Record me. Record me.
Shame on you.
Record me. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Now why don't you go tell? Now why don't you go tell them that?
Shame.
Go ahead and tell them that. Go ahead and tell them that.
Shame on you. You brought your dog here to bite my child. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Did you just say I brought?
Yes, you did. Your dog came around my child. You did not even come to take the dog away from my child.
Ma'am, you know that's a lie.
You brought
she just said I brought my dog to bite. No, she's crazy. She is crazy.
You're crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
See? Good. You just hit me, right? You just hit me, right? You just hit me.
And I have that on camera too. Thank you.
God.
Yeah, bye.
Crazy.
Shame on you.
Here's my biting dog.
Shame on you. Go. You want your biting dog. Go. Go. Go inside your house.
Your child.
Go inside your house. You coming to talk to me? You want to come and talk to me? Pull out your phone. You want to record me? You brought your dog around my child. Let me tell you something. Are you a mother? Are you a mother?
Yes,
you have children? All right. Well, then you need to have some respect for my child. You brought a dog I don't know around my child.
You think
you brought this? I don't care. I don't know your dog.
Don't do the innocent thing.
I don't know your dog.
Here's the dog. Here's the big biter. Here's the bug.
Excuse me. You're invading my private. Look.
All right. Good. Got it. What's your name?
I'm gonna get the license. Yeah, get the license plate.
Look at what you're doing. Look at what
you're doing.
Neighborhood.
Okay.
And you have brought these people who are crazy.
Victim.
You came up to us, first of all.
And you hit my phone twice. There you go. Go ahead.
Moving. Let's stop.
My
Off
property.
That's fine.
No, it is not your property.
This is my property.
Yes.
You're messing with
and
my
I am
stuff.
moving your property.
We'll move. Don't worry. We'll move it back. We'll move it back.
Racist. You're racist. You are racist. Shame on you. Shame on you. You're racist. Racist. Shame on you.
You didn't tell them that.
Shame.
What's bothering you? You look so...
Well, I don't like his arrogance. I think...
You don't like...
No,
that's because I'm black.
No, sir. No.
You look like a nigger talking like this. The white people.
Oh, I beg your pardon. No.
I don't want to... All black people don't care about what you're saying. You mean white people know. Listen, woman, everybody black watching this show knows why you don't like the way I talk. You don't like a nigger talking to you like this. Niggers never done nothing like this before.
Sir, I beg you.
I know what it is. Don't tell me what you don't like.
I beg you.
You don't know who you're talking to.
What I don't like.
I don't care what you don't like. Just buy a ticket and see me get my butt whooped.
No. Listen, I'm in a minority in this country here.
What's your minority?
I'm from England.
You're a minority. You're from England. You own England and America. You white. You can go into one of this city you want to go. Are you from England? You more free than me. You from England, and you say you're a minority, you know you can go to towns, move in neighborhoods, you can buy things, you can open a business downtown Chicago and do business, and I can't do it, but you from England. Now you got some nerve to come over and be mad at me because I'm proud and I want to fight and be confident and get my people to be proud and fight and do. We the minority too. We've been a minority for 400 years, and you freer than me, and you from England. You are freer than me, and everybody know you free. How many of you white people here truly believe that she's not as free as me or any black man? She can open up a shop downtown. He can't even rent a store. You can. Don't compare yourself with no black man.
You want to talk about a few things? I'm sorry. You want to stand up?
You got to be out your mind, lady.
She's a woman, though.
Whatever she is, she's a white woman, and she's in a white society. I'm not getting on that. The woman is more free than all black people in Chicago.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, I know about it, and you're a hypocrite, and you think she ain't.